still kind of have some kind of trouble about accepting this, because I see other people that have these really long-term friendships, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, what did I do? Is it me? Did I do something? And so sometimes yes, other times no. And just, but so when it was my thing, like, when I was kind of responsible, what did I actually do? And all of this turns around the fact that I changed a lot. And some of these long-term friendships dated back to when I was a teenager or even before that, or some of these passionate friendships were enmeshed in something when I was feeling really bad about myself for certain, all sorts of reasons. And things have evolved since then. I could just, when I was, so I'm 32, when I was 16, I would overeat a lot. I didn't work out ever. I was very kind of like career driven and ambitious driven, and I, and wanted to travel the world and wanted to live in the big city, and was a huge people pleaser and things. All of these things have changed. I'm not saying that they were bad things. I'm just saying all of these things have completely changed. And some of the people have evolved with me, and others just haven't evolved with me, and they've all have, went into a different direction. And some of the reasons why I was feeling so bad is just because I wasn't surrounding myself with the people that kind of I want to be surrounding myself with, and still have trouble today to do. And so, yeah, if you're changing, if you're putting in the work, you want to make sure that the people that you are with are matching who you want to be. Because, there's a play, I don't know the name, there's a French play by a French playwright, that says, hell is the people around you. So basically, it's just other people reflecting to you who you are. And so if, people around you are not seeing your change, then that's never gonna, you're never gonna feel it. You want to be with new people.
Yeah, there's I'm not sure if it's it's just a Hebrew saying or if it's also in English, but the rough translation is tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
And it's basically the people you surround yourself with are the people who also define who you are as well as you define yourself. And at the end of the day, again, we are changing creatures. We're constantly on the move. We're constantly, impacted by every single thing that happens to us. And every encounter, every event, every job we do, every relationship we have touches us in a different way. And we evolve and grow with it. We are not the same people as we were. And so, imagine, how do I explain it? Like, imagine you're looking back at someone you used to be friends with, but you're not that same person that you were then, and you possibly wouldn't have been friends with that person if you were the same person that you are today. If you
Mm-hmm.
get my gist.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yes, it was you who was a friend with that person, but you are a different version of yourself
Yeah.
today. And so you just have to, I'm also the same way. I have a few very, very close friends, but I don't have a lot of friends. I was never popular. And you adapt to what your life is and what you attract, and
Mm.
it's just, part of being a human creature. And where am I going with this? It's
Yeah,
just,
well, it's adapting and owning and things. And yeah, I think that,
and
I think
understanding
we're
that
both.
you're changing. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're both kind of this is, I feel like we're both going through this therapeutic process of just like, yeah, we're changing and we're not the same people that we were, like, both of us. I think, just
Yeah, you grow
it's
apart
the way it goes.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and it's just what it is.
Yeah,
I mean, I
exactly.
just had speaking of friendships, not sure how much this is connected, but I had a friend who was the bestest friend that anyone could ever imagine. And we were friends since, I think, seventh grade, which is when she moved to my school. I think it was seventh or eighth grade or something
Mm.
like that, and we became fast friends. And the past few, like, we had like a few years where we were like disconnected, but the past, I mean, she's been my best friend for like 15, 16, 17 years, whatever it is. And a year and a half ago, she just suddenly disappeared, and then she came back, said that she was going through a rough time, and then she disappeared again. And I was like holding on by a thread, hoping that she would come back to me, because it wasn't a friendship that I wanted to lose. And a lot of times losing a friendship is harder than a breakup, um, with a partner. And I just decided recently that I need to let go. That,
Yeah.
it's just part of life. It was very, very hard for me to let her go. And to this day, I have this bitter feeling sometimes when I think about her, and I'm hoping maybe one day she'll come back to me, especially since I have no idea what happened to her. I don't know if she
Mm.
just disappeared and she just, like, just became distant. And it's fine, it is what it is. I don't know what
Mm.
happened. I don't know what she's going through. I don't know if it has anything to do with me, with her, what it is. But at the end of the day, I have to keep moving on with my life. I have to keep living my life. And yes, it's painful to lose someone, especially such a close friend. But I do have other people
Yeah.
in my life, and there's always more people to meet.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always more people out there in the world that you can get along with. It's like the same thing as finding a relationship. There's no one right, perfect person for you. And you just have to make it work. And so, I had to find the best in this situation and focus on other relationships in my life and learn to let go of her, and understand that if someone grows apart from you, or leaves your life, then it's because it just isn't working anymore. And that's their issue. It's her loss, her problem, and whatever it is. And so be it. What can you
Yeah.
do? Such is life.
Yeah, it's funny because it's kind of that I'm not going to go into my whole thing because I have a situation that mirrors exactly what you just said, right? It kind of, and I was thinking like, yeah, I have the exact same feeling as I do with you with this about this friend, and it's move on. However, like my ex, well, didn't come back into my life, but it was like I reconnected with another friend who's friends with my ex, and she was talking to me about him, and I was like, I really don't care. Like I just, hopefully he does well. Like sometimes I'm a bit curious, but I'm not interested in meeting up. I'm not interested in kind of just going over this whole thing. This is a guy that, I bought a flat with, I adopted a cat with, we lived together for like, it was a big, big part of my life. And now, but it ended 5 years ago. And she was like, but don't you want to just see how things have turned out? And I was like, well, no, because I've changed. And she said, yeah, but he's changed as well. I was like, okay, well then, if I'm not the same person, he's not the same person, I'm not interested. Like it's just, I'm not interested. It's just so random. It's so, I don't want to meet every single random person that does these things. Like it's just part of my life. If our paths cross, then they do. But I'm not interested in actively pursuing a friendship or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, wow, I can't believe how much you've let it go. It's impressive. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure. And hearing you now is just like, so I let go of that relationship, but I haven't let go of other things that are, similar. And it's tough to let go. It's tough.
It is
Friendships
very
and
hard to let go.
relationships.
Yeah, I think I would argue that a best friend is harder to lose than a romantic relationship. Um, but I mean, it's just a different. It's a similar pain, but it's a bit different. And I don't know. Like sometimes I think about what if she suddenly appeared and just wanted to just be friends again. And a part of me is like, yay, I'm just hoping she'd do that. But then another part of me is like, no, F you just disappeared without an explanation. as if I'm just so replaceable or just easy to let go of.
Mm.
And you come back when it's convenient for you. It's like part of me is like, that's a huge turn off for me. And a part of me is like, if you want to come back into my life, you're the one who needs to put in the effort, and you're the one who needs to do the work, because I'm moving on, I'm moving forward. And if I'm that easily replaceable for you, then go enjoy your life without me. I don't care. That's your problem. I don't want to surround myself with people who can just let me go like that easily. And it's hard. It's very difficult. It's easier said than done, and it's painful. But if
Mm.
again, it's like that full circle of going back to adapting to change that we were talking about, is that if you don't adapt to these changes in your life, you're just going to get sucked into the pain and the darkness and the depression and the sadness and whatever it is, and the anger. And yes, it's okay to feel those emotions. It's important. We're human when we have those emotions for good reason. But you shouldn't get caught up in it too much. You need to learn how to move on from it and use it as fuel to motivate you to keep moving forward.
Mm.
And there's always more to discover out there. That's the beauty of this world, that there's so much more out there. There's so many more people, there's so many more jobs, there's so many more things. And yes, there's a lot of competition and there's a lot of things that we need to fight for, but there's an abundance. And you see the world as abundant, then you'll have abundance. If you see it as lacking and nothing out there for you, then you're not going to find anything, because you don't really want to. And so you're not really focusing on that.
Mm. Yeah, and it's interesting because you want, like, I can feel you in this friend, like you are thinking, you want to have some understanding towards her, but then at the same time you're like, yeah, but I mean, also I'm worth more. And it's, where do
Mm-hmm.
you put the line? It's like, you want to have understanding. It's like, yes, you want to, you want to have, know your worth and have your boundaries and do these things, but you also want to have understanding. And it's, where does it, where is the middle? In France there's this kind of phrase that translates to, your freedom stops when the other person's freedom starts. But when, so how
Mm-hmm.
does that work? Because I'm free to drive as fast as I want as long as I don't hit anybody. No, there's a law because it's protecting. And and you want to find the middle of somewhere of just, my freedom is to eat this apple. Yes, but this apple was in my tree in my garden. Okay, but this, and it's all these things, like, where is the middle in, your boundaries and your self-worth, and this other person, is also going through something. And you know what is, what is going on in her life that would justify this
Mm-hmm.
happening? Like, what are you ready to accept? If it's her being flaky, then it's her being flaky. But if it's her, going through cancer and she wanted it to be a secret, and I'm just, and I'm just extrapolating here. My dad went through
Yeah.
something similar recently, a couple of years ago, where his, like, you know 50 year old relationship, like friendship, guy just kind of fell off the map, and he's just come dumbfounded, not understanding and he's 50 years down the line, and where somebody else has said something's going on and he just doesn't want to share. And it's just like, my dad's just like, what is it?
Yeah.
And where do
Whiplash.
you, you know where do you put the whole thing? Because you've also got
Yeah.
feelings, but you know what's more important, their feelings or your feelings? And I think that's the whole point of this podcast and of our work is, how do you make the difference? And I think it
Yeah.
kind of goes back nicely, kind of, to what I was saying. Like, if you listen to your heart, then you're not going to regret. So if you today actively decide, I'm going to leave the door open for her because she's worth it, and she does or doesn't come back, then it will be fine. But if you also actively decide, I'm really hurt by this situation and I would have needed a bit more information because I think I deserve it, and whether or not it comes, I think, you'll be fine. You just need to make the decision, and then see how it pans out.
Yeah. I think